to the MAHA bill, because what is getting the limelight and the praise in the moment, it's Michael's favorite issue. And so I'm curious to get Michael's take on this, because there's Make America Healthy Again legislation in the legislature.
Legislature?
Yeah, well, I mean, in like 10 different legislatures, but yes, the one we're talking about is the Texas legislature. And Michael knew that I had reservations about a bill that would limit certain purchases by those using welfare benefits. And he said, he called me a washed up, has-been, good-for-nothing, two-bit ragamuffin, and said that I was wrong on this. And so I want to hear from Michael, his perspective, and Brad too, obviously, on this issue, on which of these bills, because I know there are a number of bills, which of these bills you're most excited about or concerned about?
Well, I want to level set. The conversation that Charles and I had was on the SB 379, which is the SNAP bill, which says you can't use SNAP benefits, which are taxpayer-funded food stamps, essentially, to buy sodas and candy. They say prepared desserts, sugary drinks. That's what the bill says. That's the one. There's a bunch of MAHA bills, but that's the one that we are on opposite sides of, I would say. We had Travis McCormick on the podcast. So instead of telling you what I think, I have a question for you, Charles. Do you like your tax dollars funding things that are bad in the world?
That's a loaded question.
No, it's a perfect reason.
No, I don't like my tax dollars funding things that are bad in the world.
Then why do you like your tax dollars funding things that are bad for your fellow citizens, especially those of low income?
So I have two issues. And my first one is that I do take issue with trying to tell people what they should or should not buy, but that is not why I stand in opposition to this. I just haven't, I just don't like it, but it's not the reason that I'm concerned about this. The reason I'm concerned about this is because you're limiting it. You're saying, so candy, for instance, is a very broad definition. And in that broad definition, there are differences with things like how they look at Kit Kats and how they look at Snickers. Chex Mix can fall under the guise of it. I read an article on governing yesterday that I think it wasn't Arkansas. I don't know what state passed the same bill, and you couldn't buy Chex Mix suddenly or Trail Mix. And so my issue is that it is not defined enough. There are a lot of things that are considered candy under a technical sense that might not be what we are attempting to try to get people to stop eating. And then secondly, in Texas, you have a lot of small cities that have over the years. So you have kind of 3 tiers when you look at stores. You have convenience stores. You have the kind of Dollar Tree, Dollar General types of stores, which oftentimes will sell fresh fruit and things, but at it for $1 for a reasonable price. And then you have grocery stores. When you go to those convenience stores, you go in there and you're buying a banana for $2 at a convenience store. When you go to dollar store, you're buying it for $1. When you're going to an HEB or something, you'll probably get it for 56 cents, 76 cents if you're buying one banana. So when you ban certain things, or when you limit certain stores and stuff like that, you're telling someone to take this limited food stamps that they have, and now you have to go buy a $3 banana because this is what we're saying you have to eat, even though you can't get to another place easily that is reduced cost, right? Or you're at these stores where they take all the things that say not for resale, and they split them up, and then they charge twice the amount for them. So you're putting these people in a situation where it's okay, well, I can't get to the store, and this is the only thing I can buy, so I'm going to pay $2 for banana. So what do they end up doing? They do what everybody has done for years. They just sell their food stamps to someone else and take the cash. And so I just think it should be better tailored. That's my issue.
That's your issue. Well, go, Brad.
Oh no, you're fine. I'll chime in.
I was gonna say, to your first point, we don't want people eating Chex Mix. That's horrible.
That's what I was gonna say.
So whether or not it eliminates Chex Mix is not really of a concern for me. I mean, 20% of SNAP benefits, which are supposed to, according to their own website, SNAP provides food benefits to low-income families to supplement their grocery budget so they can afford nutritious food essential to health and well-being. Chex Mix is not that. It's not that.
Okay. Before you go on,
neither is soda, and neither is candy.
I have no issue with soda. I have no issue with soda.
With it being eliminated?
Yeah, I have no issue. I mean, if the bill said we're going to stop them from buying soda, I wouldn't take issue with it.
Oh,
Hmm.
okay.
It seems like
soda,
that
because
seems
that's
like
very
change.
clear. Like soda is a thing. Like there's no question about what soda is. And so no, I wouldn't have an issue with that at all. But my thing is also, if say Chex Mix is bad, but when you have a kid that is on free or reduced lunch and now it's summer and their parents are working all day and they don't get lunch because their parents can afford it and the only thing they can buy is Chex Mix, we're gonna say you can't buy that. Like now you're like that's the issue that I have. Until you fix that problem, you're putting people in a situation where they might not have other options.
If
The
both
market will
parents,
fix that problem.
if both parents are working, I don't know why they can't afford like rice and beans. Not that I think that rice and beans are the greatest thing in the world, but that's better than fucking a candy bar. Like, what do you like? That's like the rice and beans. Like, it's you can make a stew for really super cheap. It doesn't have to be candy and processed foods.
So if you don't live near a supermarket, right, and you can't get to, first of all, not there.
I don't buy
Hear me
this.
out. Hear me out.
There are rice
There are
rice and
single-family homes
beans
out there. So the fact that you started with a 2-family home says a lot. But there are a lot of single-family homes.
You
out
said
there.
that. You said both parents.
What about what?
You said when it's these kids are on free and reduced cost lunch, and then it's summer and both parents are working. That's what you said.
Sorry. Okay. Well, then that's on me. So if you take a bag of red beans, if you go to HEB, bag of red beans is 99 cents. If you go to a convenience store in a neighborhood, a bag of red beans is going to be like $2.50. So this is what I'm saying. You're diminishing their buying capacity. And so, yeah, it's great they could buy that. And then what happens when they run out of money on the 17th?
Look, I don't know this food desert issue that you're pushing. I don't know how, what is that? How much of a food desert is it really? Is the convenience store really the only thing that you could possibly drive to on a Sunday to go get like a bunch of beans and rice for the rest of the week? Like you can't make that drive. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure that it's less convenient. Their HEB might be less convenient than my HEB. Sure, I believe that exists, but you can't drive the extra 15 minutes.
Brad, there are people at the end of the week who need to decide if they're going to drive anywhere or save a little bit of gas they have to get to work on Monday. Like that is like that's real for a lot of people. A lot of people.
I just
the people
of
the population that we were speaking about too. Like nonetheless.
But first, convenience stores have rice and beans.
Yeah.
They have canned goods, which are on a per calorie, which are fake basis, are way less expensive than a candy bar. So their money will go further if they're using the $2 for rice and beans versus a candy bar. The money will go further. Yes. It's just what is the store trying to sell to them? Well, right now it's relying on addictive chemicals that have been put in our food since we were children to get us hooked on processed sugars so that when we walk in, our freaking dopamine in our brain goes off and we're like, give me that sugar. Whereas if we had SNAP benefits not being allowed to be used for those things, the convenience stores would change with their marketing because they would have to. The market would respond. I don't know how to solve the education gap. Whereas like if I had very little money and I needed to eat for a week, I would buy a bunch of lentils. They're super nutrient dense. They've got a lot of protein. They're wicked cheap. And you can make a soup or you can do it with rice or whatever. I don't know how to teach people that, like how people are going to learn that. That is a real problem. But they're not going to learn it if they can just walk into a convenience store and spend their little bit of money on candy bars. It's just not going to happen.
My thing is with like, okay, they need to learn it and okay, the market's going to fix it. Neither of those are immediate. Like, yes, people need to learn that. And do I think government should be the one teaching them? Probably not. But the population that we're talking about, which is probably a larger percentage than the other population that is not on these benefits, undereducated and
sicker, higher healthcare costs. I know.
But I think my issue is I think the conversation doesn't really take into consideration the lives of the people who live this every day. I think that's my frustration, is that people aren't actually like putting themselves in these people's shoes and saying, okay, if this changes tomorrow, how does the person A's life change? And what must they do? What hurdles must they jump through to be able to accomplish something or get something? And that's my issue. Like, it's great in concept, But I foresee us running into issues because it doesn't seem as though we're having a conversation about the actual people who use these on a day-to-day basis.
Is there an argument to be made that we're making it too easy for people?
Yeah.
Making what
Meaning, like, all right, you're concerned about the difficulty of it, which is fine. I get it. But if we just make it too easy for people, then what's their motivation to get off of it, right? Like, what can we do to, if we make it a little bit more difficult, it's a little bit more, like, slightly more uncomfortable to get a bag of lentils in Michael Searle's poor world. Then, if we make that too easy, then he's never going to go buy the lentils.
And in the practical sense, what they're going to do is buy something that they're allowed to buy.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So if you're eliminating the worst of the worst, soda, candy, potato chips,
they might buy what they're going to buy, or they're going to sell their food stamp to somebody else.
Maybe.
And get money for it. And that's like a thing.
You can't prevent all dumb acts. I mean, people are going to do that one way or the other and fucking, buy Lucy's,
Yeah. But the other thing I don't think you're considering here is the cycle these people are in. They live shorter lives, and that's partly low-income people live shorter lives, and that's partly due to their diet. Mm-hmm. They're not as healthy. So even they're living or they're not living as long, but they're also unhealthy because of the food that they're eating. So if this can help nudge them in a better direction.
Do you think if this bill passes, we're going to suddenly see an improvement in the health of the people who utilize the program?
No. It's an incremental change that is a positive step. It is certainly not going to fix everything. And there are other issues in addition to diet that are at play here. It's
better. It's best for the kids, I think, here. I mean, the adults might be a lost cause. Not that we shouldn't try, but the adults might be a lost cause. It's the kids. The kids.
So I have a question for both of you.
I have answers.
If you believe that the way you framed the question to me, Michael, was should our tax dollars go to bad things? Why would, instead of doing what they're doing, why would you guys not support them giving people meal plans and just giving them that food 3 meals a day, delivering it? If they could do it at a reasonable cost, why would you support a program like that?
Teach a man to fish.
Teach a man to fish.
Wise words. The underlying point is to make these people healthier and to not have them on the back end of it. And that seems like that would be the most effective way, because instead of giving them the money, you're giving them the healthy food. Then why would you not support that program?
See, I'm going to piss off the conservatives here. I'm supportive of my tax dollars going to help people who are in need. That I'm supportive. Snap. But I would severely limit what it can be used for. It's more than this bill does, because the diet is a major contributing factor to other issues, and we're not helping them by getting them on food that's addictive and makes them sick. It's not helping them. It's making things worse. So if I severely limited it to vegetables, rice, and protein and dairy, I'd probably be fine with that, and I think the market would respond.
Okay, but to my question, and I want to know both of you, like, would you support a program like that? If they said, instead of giving you the money per month, we're going to deliver you, let's say, 3 meals a day for 30 days, 90 meals for, say, if you're a household of 1, if you're a household of 4, whatever 90 times 4 is, we're going to deliver you these healthy meals, and that's what you will eat instead of that. Would you guys support that program?
I mean, you're asking me to support what's the alternative? There's a lot of devils in the details there. Am I supportive of it over our current system? I mean, I could see that as if I was forced to choose between those two options, I could.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're talking about alternatives to the current system, because the bill is an alternative to
but if they're delivering, if there's a fucking Bluebell ice cream as a side on every single meal, I might say
obviously would not be a Bluebell ice cream.
You say obviously, but it's the fucking government.
I just laid out what it was. I just laid out what the program is.
You did.
In concept, yes, I would support that. If Nabisco is administering the program, it's probably not going to be super effective. But yes, I would support sending actual food rather than just money. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what would be great is if Sid Miller got up in on this, and he's like, "We're gonna just send Texas beef to all these households." and they just got like 10 pounds of beef every week for a family.
I
of
don't know
4.
why they wouldn't like call the boar and like give people free boar meat or something.
No, well, there's a fucking hog problem in Texas. Feral hogs should be getting lit up from a helicopter with machine guns, and those boars should be harvested and given to the poor. And that actually happens a lot. Hunters do that quite a bit. They'll like when they have to cull deer, like a land management season, they'll donate a shitload of meat to local shelters, and that's great. Good for you, hunters. But
I believe it. I'm just saying we got a lot of state-owned land.
10 pounds of beef. It could even be like private land. Like you could probably start a company where you're managing feral hogs, like getting them off people's land, and you could take that meat and give it to poor people. I think that would be awesome. If y'all are interested in doing that, I would love to. It's really fun.